After more than 300 chapters, BLUELOCK is still dealing with one major problem, and honestly, it might be the biggest flaw in the entire series. Strikers are the centerpiece of the story, that much is clear, but the players who are supposed to stop them, the defenders and especially the goalkeepers, feel like complete background characters. Most of the time, they don't matter at all. Think about it, if goalkeepers didn't exist in BLUELOCK, would the story really change that much? Probably not, because strikers in BLUELOCK don't just score, they do everything. They press defensively, they intercept plays, they block shots, they even save goals on the line. Meanwhile, the players whose actual job is to defend, they are sidelined. Almost irrelevant. Every major moment in BLUELOCK, no matter what side of the pitch, always comes down to strikers. And when it comes to goalkeepers, the problem is even worse. Across the entire series, you can literally count on one hand the number of times a goalkeeper actually mattered. The only exception has been Gagamaru. He's the one keeper who's had hype-worthy saves, the kind of insane jaw-dropping stops that make you go, okay, this guy might actually matter. But outside of him, most keepers in BLUELOCK feel like NPCs, just standing there, not diving, not reacting, not even trying. Now, to be fair, at the start of the series this kind of made sense. BLUELOCK wasn't built for defenders or goalkeepers, it was built to spotlight the strikers and their weapons. In the first selection, the keepers were just holograms, or strikers forced into the role. The author clearly didn't want to waste panel time on keepers blocking shots when the whole point was to showcase the egoists and their evolution. That was fine early on, but as the story has grown, the lack of proper goalkeepers has become a much bigger issue. Take the under 20 match for example. Fugakugen had one standout moment when he deflected Flowerin's corner shot onto the post. That was his big highlight, but beyond that, he barely did anything. Honestly, it felt like he was nerfed on purpose just to make the BLUELOCK striker look superior to Japan's outdated system. That way the narrative could push the idea that Japanese football needed BLUELOCK. Fair enough narratively, but from a gameplay perspective, it was disappointing. Then we move into the Neo Egoist League, and on paper, this should have been the perfect opportunity to finally show us some strong European goalkeepers. But in reality, the same problem continued. Take bastard Munchen's keeper, Bachmann. In the entire match against Barca, he didn't make a single save. Bachira scored on him, Lavinho embarrassed him, and after that he disappeared from the story. He literally played one match and then got replaced by Gagamaru. And narratively, it makes sense. If Bachmann had actually been good, then Gagamaru wouldn't get the spotlight and BLUELOCK wouldn't have a proper keeper going into the Under 20 World Cup. But again, it highlights the same flaw. Barca's keeper, even more irrelevant, might as well not have existed. Munchen City keeper, same story. And this is where things start getting frustrating, because that Munchen match actually had some solid moments for Gagamaru. He pulled off a couple of nice saves, but even then he still conceded twice. Meanwhile, it was still the strikers doing everything. Kaiser drops back to defend, Isagi stops Prince's unstoppable knuckleball, and when Yukimiya fires off his gyro shot, who saves it? Not a goalkeeper, not even a defender, but Prince. Once again, the strikers are carrying the defensive load. And look, in real football it's normal for strikers to press and defend sometimes. But in BLUELOCK, it happens way too often, to the point where defenders and goalkeepers feel like afterthoughts. Then we hit the Ubers arc. Finally, this looked promising. Ubers actually had a proper defensive structure, Canali in goal, with Aiku, Nico, Aryu and Lorenzo forming a rock-solid backline. On paper, this was the first time defense actually felt like a serious threat, but once again, the goalkeepers themselves did almost nothing. Gagamaru had one hype save against Barou, which was amazing, but Canali got injured mid-match, Fugakugen came in, and still the big defensive moments didn't come from the keepers. Instead, it was strikers bowling out the defense again. This time, it was Sendo, who literally saved Hiyori's shot in almost the exact same way Isagi stopped Prince's knuckleball earlier. Then, of course, the match ended with Isagi scoring the decisive goal. Across the entire Bastard Munchen vs Ubers game, we had maybe 3 legit saves from keepers. In a high-level tactical showdown, that's pathetic. And then we moved on to PXG. And what happens? The exact same pattern repeats. The goalkeeper is basically a trash can standing in the net, and instead is Loki with his inhuman speed stepping in and making insane saves again and again. And while it looks awesome to see Loki dominate like that, it also proves the same issue. Strikers are doing the job of defenders and keepers, while the actual goalkeepers remain irrelevant. Finally, the Under-20 World Cup. The match against Nigeria could have been the perfect chance to showcase a proper world-class goalkeeper, but instead, Nigeria's keeper was useless, completely carried by Onazi, who ended up doing everything himself. Once again, it wasn't the keeper saving the game, it was another player stepping in, just like Loki before. And at this point, it's obvious. The author has had multiple opportunities to make goalkeepers matter, and every single time the chance has been skipped. Now, I'm not saying I want BLUELOCK to suddenly become goalkeeper lock. I don't need a Neuer clone dominating every match, but what I do want is tension, those hype moments when a striker unleashes their ultimate weapon and the keeper denies it with an impossible save. Because right now, every time someone wins up for a shot, you pretty much know what's going to happen. Either it's a guaranteed goal or another striker steps in and blocks it. That predictability kills the suspense. So how do we fix it? Honestly, it wouldn't take much. First, give goalkeepers actual weapons. Imagine a reflex monster who can cover the net like a spider, or a prediction-based keeper who can read strikers the way Isagi reads the field. Instantly, they become a real threat. Second, balance the spotlight. Let the strikers cook, but give us those hype moments where a keeper denies a world-class weapon. Imagine Barou's King Strike being shut down by a monster keeper. That would force strikers to evolve even more. Third, make saves unpredictable. Right now, shots are way too binary. If no striker intervenes, it's a goal, but if even 20 or 30% of those shots were stopped by keepers, suddenly every play becomes suspenseful. You wouldn't know if a striker's ultimate weapon would succeed or fail. And here's the thing, BLUELOCK is all about evolution. Strikers are constantly forced to adapt and grow to survive. But why shouldn't keepers evolve too? Why shouldn't one of these background NPCs rise up and become the wall that every egoist striker has to overcome? Because if BLUELOCK is truly about creating the ultimate striker, then shouldn't they prove themselves against the ultimate goalkeeper? That's why I'm hoping France and England finally bring in some monsters between the posts. Players who can steal the spotlight with a single fingertip save and force even the strongest egoists to reach a new level. At the end of the day, that's what BLUELOCK is all about. Pressure, evolution and breaking limits. Right now, the strikers are carrying all of that by themselves, but if the series finally gives us a gold tier keeper, the whole dynamic changes. Suddenly, every shot becomes life or death, every goal becomes legendary, and every striker has to climb even higher just to survive. So the real question is, will BLUELOCK ever give us a goalkeeper who truly matters? Or will the strikers keep doing everything while the keepers stay NPCs forever? Let me know in the comments, do you want to see a monster goalkeeper appear in France or England? Or are you fine with the striker chaos we've been getting so far? Thank you guys for watching and see ya next video.